Ke wakarongo ake au ki te tangi a te manu nei a te mā tui ia. Tui ei runga, tui ei raro, tui ei waho, tui ei roto. Tui ia te ere tangata ka rongo te pō, ka rongo te ao. Tui ia te muka tangata i tā kia mai awai kinui, awai ki rua, awai ki pā mā te ono i wairua ki te whai au ki te ao mārama. E rongo, waka iri ake ki runga tūturu o ka maua ki a tīna a tīna. Ie tai ki e. Koutou te iwi ko ngaro atu rā ki te pōnui, ki te pōro, ki te pō e wakamataku ai, te tāngata nei, ko te aue o te hunga, ora e ngā wi ana, mō koutou te tini ko hoki atu rā ki te poho o ngā mātua tūpuna, ko te pitomate ki te pitomate, ko te pitora ki te pitora, ti e kūre perepe, ti e kūra parapa, ti e mauri ora, nau mai, rarau mai, e aku ranganui, e aku rangatata, ki tēnei hōtakare o Māori, ai, ko ka pāo, e pāho ake nei ngā kaupapa i roto i te ao waiata. Hoi anō, anei ko te tira, te ope, ko hau mai ki roto i te whare o te korimako, ka tuku me ki, te rākau ki a koe, e eza, mau, tō ope e wakatau.
Ai, kia ora te tuahine, ngā mihi nui ki a koe, me ngā whānau, o korimako, tēnā koutou.
So we're going to flip it into te reo Pākehā so that everybody can understand us. Yay! Welcome to Ka PAO. Yay! So we'll quickly just go around so everybody can introduce us. Just give your name and your iwi, hapu iwi. I suppose we could start with your box over there, Eza. Kōrero mai.
Ka pai. Ai, he uri au no Ngāti Tūwharetoa, Ngāti Awa, Ngāti Kahungunu. And yeah, I've been here in Tūrangi pretty much most of my life. Yeah, kia ora.
Yeah, my name's Marich. I'm from Tūrangi. I've been here all my life. Haven't moved anywhere else. And yeah, and I know I should address this. I know I don't look it, but I've only recently turned 16, but I've looked this way since I was 13.
You mean handsome like your dad?
Yeah. Oh, if you can call it that.
No. Kia ora, ngā mei.
Darling, your name?
I'm Issa, and I was born in Palmerston North, and I lived here half of my life, and I moved away with my dad, then I came back.
Yeah, ka pai. Nice to meet you, darling. And we've got our Lone Ranger. He's a sharp fella. This one, I'll get him to introduce himself. Kia ora hoa, how are you?
I'm pretty good. My name is Jonee. Live in Tōwharetoa. Been here for all of my life, literally all of my life. And yeah.
Ka pai. And whereabouts are you from?
Ngāti Tūwharetoa.
Oh, ka pai. So we got our Ngāti Tūwharetoa literally filling our spaces. He's got to be very, very, very on point here with all my questions, eh? Because all my cousins and that are watching from Ngāti Tūwharetoa were going, hey, you look after the wāno. So my first question would be, so what's the kaupapa? I've been getting, I suppose, a lot of notifications that there's been a lot of activity happening your fellas way. Tell me about it.
So I guess to kind of give you a bit of background, a bit of context to what has become He Oro Taiohi. It was actually started back in 2019 with my wife and I. We wanted to. The reason we wanted to kind of start it was because of the education that he was getting and his older sister. It wasn't really around the education. Obviously, education is important, but we found that their passions weren't being nurtured at school. And obviously, we understood that, whether it was resources or it just wasn't part of the curriculum. So we decided back in 2019, at the end of it, to start something which we called, which is actually our media company, Koko Mako Limited. And under that banner, we decided to start He Oro Taiohi with himself and our daughter. We wanted to be able to connect them to people that we personally knew, that were in the music industry. For our daughter, it was within videography and content creation and stuff like that. Since then, they've grown immensely since then. And then by 2020, we started to see that there were a lot of other rangatahi that were at that same point. They were really, really talented in the arts, but there was no outlet for it, or there wasn't enough of a focus. So we had our first He Oro Taiohi wānanga back in 2020. I'm
2020,
sure it was. And it was amazing. It actually opened up our eyes to what we could actually do for our tamariki and for our rangatahi, and nurture them after that as well. So I guess you have to understand is that it's not just the wānanga itself. There's the care and the direction that we still continue with after the wā. And then recently, obviously, we've just had the second one back in July, and we've done the same thing again. We've introduced these rangatahi to music industry mentors. They're up there in the music industry, and we've allowed them to be themselves. He Oro Taiohi is all about creating an environment that is conducive to our rangatahi within the arts, within music. But you start to see these kids come out. They turn up shy, scared, anxious. And because I'm the fellow that I am, I try to make them feel as comfortable as possible. And you see that happen within the first hour. Jonee could actually speak to that. He was very nervous. In fact, Jonee actually, before we started, decided not to do it. And it wasn't until afterwards I spoke to his mother. I said, no. He has to come. This is the kaupapa for rangatahi like this, that are feeling secluded, that feel, or they're getting bullied, or they're the odd one out at school. But put them in front of an instrument, and they are a superstar. They are a superstar. So hence the kaupapa of He Oro Taiohi.
So I really want to emphasize how important it is that you've actually leaped into this, because it's not something that you can just walk into a recording studio and just make an opportunity happen for our tamariki and Taiohi. So I think we all appreciate the efforts that you and your partner have put into our wānau there in Tūrangi. So Jonee, can I ask you a big question? Matua was talking about how you didn't want to do it, but how has it made you feel? Okay, let's just have a look. Something's wrong here with the mute. We'll just have a look. There we go. Can we unmute you, Jonee? Can you unmute yourself for a second? There we go. So let's talk about that. How has it made you feel being a part of this kaupapa?
Pretty good, because at first, Mom told me about it, and I was nervous. I wasn't gonna do it, but then my parents encouraged me to do it. So, and yeah, another learning experience. So that was pretty good.
And so, what about having friends in the in your little music whānau, your musical whānau? Has that been an experience too? What do you feel when you're with them? Do you feel happy, or do you feel funny, or do you feel creative? Tell us about how you feel.
At first I was really nervous around them, quiet and stuff, until I just started being myself around them, and yeah.
That's good. That's good to know, because you know what I like about that, and that you're sharing this, is because a lot of people like yourself find it really challenging to be your normal self around people. And so are you saying that you came out of your box and started to be more like yourself around others?
Yeah.
Cool. And what do you like about your teachers? Did you have people like Mata Caleb come along and teach you?
Oh yeah, like it was pretty cool experience.
It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Because
Okay, cool.
I've never met someone like them before, and yeah.
I bet you they appreciated you.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go over to, is it Issa? Am I saying your name properly, darling? I hope I'm saying your name properly.
It's Issa.
Issa. Oh, what a beautiful name. I love your name. So can you tell me how you feel when you're hanging out with all your musical friends? Do you feel like you're like our Beyonce, or do you feel humble like our Maisie Rika? Who do you feel like?
I said it out, darling.
I felt like, for a minute, I felt quiet. And after that, when I see some people in that, I started to be humble and have fun.
Oh, nice. And what's your like highlight? What's one of the fun things like? So I know what it's like, because maybe I want to come into your group too.
What was the best thing about it?
The best thing about it is having fun and having fun, singing and doing stuff.
Oh, beautiful. I love that. And I've got one more question, because I like how awesome that you are actually talking about what's going on. But tell me, what would you like to happen, like now that you've had an experience or a couple of experiences? What would you like to happen? What would you like to happen, like maybe in the next 5 years?
I would like to be in Broadway, singing and dancing and that.
Oh, if you go to Broadway, I'm coming. I'm going to come and watch you. I promise you that. I promise. I like Broadway. Okay. Thank you so much for sharing. Now let's talk about your koto, the waiata that you have brought out. So let's get a bit of background. Kōrero mai, what's the purpose of your guys' waiata?
So originally, it's the track itself. It started off as a little ditty I'd come up with for a school project, but never actually used it. So when the conversation came up with Dad to write a song for this wā, I'd just gone back through all my little demos of whatever I made up, and I came up with that one. And he really liked it, so he spent. I can't actually remember how long we spent writing.
Day or two of that.
Spent pretty much just a night writing the lyrics and all that. We got everything pat down, got the groove we wanted and how we wanted this and that. And what we did is we did that. We set the foundation for the song. But the thing we do is we do that, and then when we get to the wā, we send it off to everyone else that's involved. So all the other kids and, our musicians and then our singers, and then we let them put them into it. Let them construct it the way they would do it.
Mm.
And well, the meaning behind the song is pretty it's easy enough. It's in the title, Get Better. You will always have your days where you're down on your luck and the world's just against you and all of that, and hopefully, things will get better.
So the whole, I suppose, structuring the waiata becomes quite organic for you, I suppose, because you've been producing songs for a while now. But how did you feel navigating with a number of rangatahi? You know, like, you know, having to manage not just yourself or a couple of people, but actually other rangatahi. How did you go?
I think when it came to that, it was, as you said, it was actually very organic. But I think through that period of COVID, there was one thing that was always sticking out, was at that time, our rangatahi felt disconnected. Some of them felt anxious. Some of them, in some senses, may have been fearful during that time. There was a lot of conversation around that. So once we kind of put it together, obviously the ones who get the tick off of the song are actually the rangatahi themselves. And I remember when we sent the song out for them to have a listen to, I started getting messages back straight away going, "This is exactly how we feel. We didn't want to get out of bed. We didn't want to be outside and seeing people. You know, we'd gone through that stage of lockdown where we were in home and our only piece of communication was our devices through a screen. You know, and that wasn't just only our rangatahi, that was pretty much everyone. So if you go through and you listen to the lyrics of the actual waiata itself, it may sound depressing, but this is what our rangatahi were thinking. This is what people in general were thinking. So it has a bit more of a wider spectrum in just the fact that it's coming from a rangatahi perspective, but it also encapsulates what many people were feeling at that time. So when we put it in front of them, yeah, it was good to get that sign off to go, yeah, that's how we felt. That's how we feel sometimes. We don't want to get out of bed. We feel like it's never ever going to get better. But we know it is. We just don't know when that's going to kind of happen. So to have it constructed by them and to give them the sign off, where every piece you pretty much hear is them, you know, they put their own spin to the drums. Jonee did his drums, how he felt it should be played. Peihana Matthews, he laid the bass down to how he felt it should go, and so on and so on. Our singers, Issa, Aniwaniwa, and Bren, all was really funny because they all organically changed the melody. It was actually pretty out of it. They had the solid melody, but when they went in, it didn't feel right to them. So they just organically changed it. And then what we eventually got for the final recording was actually really, really awesome. It was amazing.
Oh, look, it sounds like that user actually pros. It actually seems like that user. In fact, I'm saying that you are pros because it's not something easy to come up with from, you know, applying to have this wānanga, let alone, you know, successfully coming up with a waiata. And happy tamariki. So congratulations to you all. So any kōrero in regards to what we could be getting in the future?
And in the future, we're actually currently working on the future at the moment. It's a pretty big, arduous kind of task and what we're kind of setting forth for ourselves. But I think if the track record shows there is a want, our rangatahi have a want, they have a need for an outlet, whether it's music or whether it's, you know, I mean, to be honest, here in Tūwharetoa, we are most probably the only entity, organization that are actually doing anything around music. There's lots of stuff for sports and there's lots of stuff for education and whatever. But when it comes to the arts, music in particular, there's actually nothing. It's quite poor. So we're kind of lucky that I guess that we're kind of in a niche market and doing what we're doing. But to go from 2020, from the first one to now, everything that we kind of wanted to do, we're starting to do now. And it's scary, like what we've kind of laid down for ourselves to do over the next year. It's pretty scary, but I think the great thing about it is that we love scary. We kind of love that kind of thing of the unknown. And that's kind of like how we've always worked anyway. We just jump in there, see how it goes, and if it works, we can go, man, let's do it again. But let's just change this and this and this again. But I guess the main thing too is that it doesn't just stop at the wānanga. And I think that's one thing that sets us apart. That's kind of like our unique selling point, if you want to call it that, is that it's not just a 3-day wānanga where we bring in these music industry mentors and just crash these kids' brains with what it means to be in the music industry. And I'm talking recording process, media training, vocal training, stage performance, touring, your own health and well-being, everything. We cover everything in 3 days. And I'm amazed that someone as young as Issa, who's only, 9? Who's only 9, and Jonee, who's only 11, they were the 2 youngest ones that we've had part of this He Oro Taiohi. I'm amazed that they were able to understand and realize that being a music industry artist is hard work. It's really hard work, you know. So they got to understand that. And I think where we're heading to next is going to be amazing, because even after the wars, we still support them. We actually still help them out. It's like, write a song, come around to the studio, we'll lay it down, you know. At the moment, we actually, sorry, I'm kind of digressing, but just to give you an idea, Marich, Jonee, and the bass player Peihana have actually just started a group. So we're kind of helping them and assisting them in the sense of practices, you know, playing at little things to get more experience and stuff like that. And they've had a really, 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 really good reviews from people that they're playing in front of so far. In fact, the boys may actually have a couple of gigs that are coming up at a couple of major events. So and that's what I mean. It's not just a 3-day wānanga and then you don't hear from your mentors anymore, or there's nothing else doing. And that's what makes us different. It's not just a wā where you bring all these kids together, have a mean as 2-3 days or whatever it is, and then you never do anything with them anymore. So it's just that, again, it's about nurturing them. It's about empowering them in the medium of music.
Yeah, it's that nurturing side of it, or that has won me over. Jonee, can you just give me, just before we wrap it up, bub, what would you like to be in the music industry?
Pro drummer. Just being there, it's like maybe like one day playing a stadium, maybe. Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
I like that. Wherever you go, if you ever become a drummer or anything like that, I'm gonna have my hands up in the air and go, remember me, you told me you're gonna be a drummer. and what about you, Issa? Is it Issa or Issa? Issa. Okay, I'll make sure I'll never forget that. Issa. What would you like to be when you get older in the music industry?
Nice and loud, darling.
I want to be a singer, just a singer, and play my heart out on acting, like Broadway and that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you did say Broadway, eh? But you have a beautiful voice, darling. Look after your instrument. Make sure you look after it. Yeah, it's a beautiful taonga. So, e te iwi, ko hono mai koutou ki tēnei kaupapa ko hora mai Ngāti Tūwharetoa ki roto i a tātou taranaki nei. Nei e mihi ana te maunga titohi ki koutou. Nō reira, ka tika me pātai waka mutunga ki a koe e te matua. Homai ngā kōrero kia rongange tātou e pāna ki tēnei kaupapa. Meki, give us a outro so that we can hear the love and inspiration. We're already hearing it, but you know what I mean. Give us a little bit more, bro, because I'm loving this kōrero that you have brought to our table. But yeah.
Kia ora, sis. Yeah, like, I mean, as I was mentioning before, here in Tūwharetoa, a wā like this, a wānanga like this, celebrating our rangatahi when it comes to music is pretty non-existent. So for us, we feel proud and privileged to be able to to break that mold and to be able to do something to help our kids. You never know, they might even turn out to be musicians, but we're hoping that the things that we teach them, they'll take with them into their later lives. It was a real privilege to work with these rangatahi. It was a privilege to work with Caleb Haapu again. And of course, Bevadia, who is amazing. The kids absolutely loved her. As this fella said, the wealth of knowledge that she has is just crazy. We all sat there just amazed by her. And that's what I mean. For us here in a little town like Tūrangi to be able to do something like this, to be able to connect these rangatahi, no matter the age, to great mentors, to be able to empower them, is at the end of the day, you know, it's as simple as this. At the end of the day, my wife and I sit there absolutely exhausted, and we have tears in our eyes thinking, far out, we actually did this, and these kids were freaking amazing. So for us, that's what it's about. That's what it's about. Making sure our rangatahi are looked after, are nurtured, and empowered.
Ngā mihi mō kōtou e hāpai ana tēnei kaupapa mō ngā taiohi, mō ngā rangatahi, mō ngā rangatirau a pōpō. Nō reira e te iwi, ko tai te wā kia wakatepe i tēnei ui i wainguni a tātou, i te pōnei. Nō reira me pēnei ngā kōrero, kia uru mai, au ora, au ka au mai, ki runga, ki raro, ki roto, ki wa o rirere au, pai mārire. Ngā mihi manoa tōrua ki koutou